Vegapunk, the greatest genius the world has ever seen. A man whose brain lives in the future. But why would a dreamer who wanted to give free energy to everyone spend his life building the most terrifying weapons for an oppressive regime? What if I told you he wasn't forced nor bought? What if he was paying for a sin? The sin of flying too close to the void century's sun. The image we have of Vegapunk is that of an idealist. His greatest dream was to create an infinite energy source that could connect the world and end wars for resources. He is kind, eccentric, and has a deep sense of morality, as we saw in his relationship with Kuma and Bonnie. He is close friends with Monkey D. Dragon, the leader of the revolution. In every way, he is a good guy. So how do we reconcile this with the creator of the pacifistas, the weapons that indiscriminately hunt pirates, and the Seraphim cyborg clones with no will of their own? He's not like Caesar Clown who revels in destruction. Vegapunk seems genuinely remorseful for the use of his creations. This contradiction is key. He's not a man who sold himself for money or power. He's a man trapped, not by physical chains, but by the consequences of his own genius. His brilliant mind, which enables him to create wonders, is the same mind that led him down a path of no return. He's not a prisoner of the world government. He's a prisoner of his own past, and a mistake he could never right. Each day he spends in his laboratory is not an act of creation, but of containment. He lives in a gilded cage, surrounded by cutting-edge technology that is both his passion and his penance. His collaboration with the government is not an alliance, but a calculated surrender. The only way he's found to keep the monster he created on a leash. It's the tragedy of a man who wanted to bring light to the world, but ended up creating a shadow that threatens to consume it. To understand his imprisonment, we need to go back to his first major project. Long before the world government found him, the theory begins here. Vegapunk, in his youth, didn't invent a new technology. He rediscovered technology from the Void Century. He likely found ruins or texts from the Old Kingdom and became obsessed with its legendary energy source, the same one that enabled his prosperity. His dream of a global energy grid was, in fact, an attempt to recreate the Old Kingdom's greatest achievement, but he was young, brilliant, and perhaps arrogant. He attempted to reactivate or replicate this power source without fully understanding its dangers, and the result was a disaster. Vegapunk's sin was unleashing an energy he couldn't control. It could have been a chain reaction, an unstable portal, or the partial awakening of one of the ancient weapons. This catastrophe was so great that it attracted the immediate attention of the world government and the Gorosei. They didn't recruit him. They cornered him. The deal was simple. Vegapunk would surrender his brain and his work to them, and in return, the world government would use its vast resources to help contain and study the threat he had unleashed. His life of servitude was not a choice, but a penance. He became the caretaker of his own catastrophe, working for his enemies, because they were the only ones powerful enough to prevent the entire world from paying for their mistake. This event likely occurred on his home island of Karakuri, explaining why the place boasts such advanced technologies, but also a sense of latent danger. The world government didn't take him to Egghead simply to protect him, but to isolate his dangerous knowledge and the epicenter of their original failure. He became the government's most valuable tool and at the same time their most closely guarded secret. They couldn't afford to kill him, but they also couldn't let him go free. If the idea of Vegapunk accidentally awakening a power from the Void Century is making your head spin, then help our channel continue connecting the dots. Leave a like to strengthen our crew. And if you're not already a member, subscribe to One Piece Secrets so you don't miss out on the biggest reveals. From this perspective, each of Vegapunk's inventions becomes a piece of a much larger puzzle, his attempt to understand and right his wrong. The pacifistas and Seraphim aren't just weapons. They're the result of his research into creating artificial or enhanced bodies that could perhaps interact with or withstand the dangerous energy he unleashed. The inclusion of Lunarian DNA in the Seraphim isn't just for durability. The Lunarians were a race of gods who could survive in any environment. Perhaps they had a natural resistance to the energy of the Old Kingdom. He was trying to recreate the beings of the past to solve a problem from the past. His research on devil fruits and the lineage factor wasn't just scientific curiosity. He needed to understand the very essence of life to discover how the ancient energy affected it. And his secret collaboration with Dragon? He was leaking information to the only man he trusted, hoping Dragon could succeed where he failed, paving the way for the right person at the right time to finally deal with the threat he kept at bay. He was playing a double game, using the government's resources to secretly create the tools for his own downfall. Every piece of technology he handed over to his captors was accompanied by a countermeasure or security flaw that he could later exploit or share. He built the Seraphim with a hierarchy of command, perhaps anticipating that someone with the right authority might one day turn them against their masters. He was not a loyal servant. He was a patient saboteur waiting for his opportunity. Every weapon he created for the government was a step closer to his own downfall, but also a step closer to understanding the monster he had awakened. And this brings us to his final and most terrifying creation, the Mother Flame. This is not a weapon he built for the government. The Mother Flame is the contained experiment, the unstable energy source he created decades ago. He spent his life trying to turn it into something beneficial. But the Gorosei, upon discovering its true destructive potential, turned it into the weapon that wiped Lelouch from the map. That moment was the turning point for Vegapunk. He realized he had lost control. The sin of his youth had been transformed into a doomsday weapon in the hands of tyrants. His time was up. His only remaining option was his final plan, to hijack the world signal and broadcast a message. His broadcast isn't just to expose the world government's secrets. It's a confession. It's a warning to the world about the Mother Flame's true nature and the danger it poses. He's admitting his sin to everyone and betting everything on the one person who can set things right, the new Joy Boy, Monkey D. Luffy, whose Nika power may be the only force capable of neutralizing the Old Kingdom's runaway science. He's not just revealing the truth about Imu or the Void Century. He's revealing the truth about himself. He's telling the world, I started this, and now you must finish it. The broadcast is his final act of rebellion, a scientist's final attempt to correct his most dangerous equation, even if it means exposing his own failure to the world. Vegapunk is neither a reluctant hero nor a tragic villain. He is the embodiment of the myth of Prometheus in one piece, a genius who stole fire from the gods, the technology of the Antido Kingdom, to give to humanity, but ended up burning himself and being chained for it. His entire life was a brilliant, desperate attempt to control the flames he himself ignited. His death was not the end of his story, but the beginning of his redemption. By revealing the truth, he passed the burden to the next generation, trusting that Nika's chaotic freedom could succeed where his ordered science failed. He opened Pandora's box, and now it's up to Luffy to find the hope that remains within. Vegapunk wasn't evil. He was a man who dreamed too big, too soon, in a world unprepared for the consequences. His story is a cautionary tale about the pursuit of knowledge without wisdom, and his ultimate faith in Luffy is an admission that some forces of nature cannot be controlled by logic, but only by freedom. He was not a traitor to humanity, but a scientist who attempted a leap too far and spent the rest of his life trying to build a safety net for the inevitable fall. But what about you? Do you think the Mother Flame is Vegapunk's sin? What was his catastrophic mistake? Leave your theory in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you next time on One Piece Secrets.